Bon matin tout le monde. Good morning everyone. Bienvenue chez Zoo, en direct de Zoo, Montréal. Je me présente, I introduce myself. I'm Guillaume Terrien, the General Manager of Zoo, and I'm really excited this morning to start the day with you guys and to immerse ourselves in the trends of tomorrow, of the future, and I would even say now. With the series that we just launched called HORIZON, which is exactly what we want to do at Zoo. It's really to inspire the creatives, creative entrepreneur, creators to think about and rethink and redefine what's going to be the entertainment and the creative industry of tomorrow. So I'm really excited to start the day with you. And the series will be about, jumping into case studies, emerging trends, market opportunities that cater specifically to the entertainment and creative tech industry. So today, we're really excited to start with 5G because 5G is such a promising technology. It will definite, it's going to have a definite impact on many industries by reducing latency, increasing the density, and giving unprecedented level of interaction through speed and connectivity. So we're really excited to bring the video game industry up front because this is one of the most impact industry right up front that will be able to implement and create amazing new product, new content using this technology. So twice per month we'll welcome you and we'll have different thematic, but I'm really happy to have today the 5G conference. I'll introduce you to my two fellow panelists, Stéphanie Marchand, who's the VP production at Behaviour Interactive. Good morning, Stephanie.
Good morning.
And I will read her bio because it's pretty impressive, the work she's done in such a young age. So she launched her career in the game industry over 17 years ago as a computer engineer. So we've got an engineer in the room, so which is great. Her passion for game development, project management, fostering new leader has led her to many roles, including lead programmer, producer, executive producer, before becoming the vice president of production at Behaviour Studios. So Stephanie has been part of I think 30 game development cycle, partnering with many different big players such as Microsoft, Ubisoft, King, Bethesda, Sony, Activision, and Wargaming. And you hold a bachelor degree in computer engineering from the ETS in Montreal. So welcome,
From Polytechnique,
Stephanie.
but that's okay. I don't.
The Polytechnique,
okay.
I'm sorry. We'll have to do the
very humble by your presentation. Thank you.
We'll change our Wikipedia right after. And just for the one who doesn't know, the amazing studio of Behaviour, that's the Canada largest independent game developer and publisher with over 700 employees. It was founded in 1992, and that has led the city emergence as one of the top 5 game making hubs in the world. So thank you, Behaviour, for making and bringing Montreal on the map. Award-winning original IP, so really creating their own IP and distributing it around the world. So along with the reputation of the original game, you've been working with the big players. So that'll be really interesting to hear about your take on 5G. Now let's go on to Mark Bell. How are you, my friend?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So Mark is the Director, Product and Service Mobility at TELUS. He's passionate about technology, started his career as customer service, joining TELUS as the product and service development team 6 years ago, if I do remember well on your bio. And you're in charge of launching new mobile devices, including the 5G. So that'll be interesting to see your take on that. And You're now, looking at, all about, connectivity, emerging product, and you're really interested, and I would say a fan of video games on all platforms. So I'm reading right now from Commodore 64 to Nintendo Switch. So you've touched it all. So that'll be interesting.
I've seen it all.
You've seen it all. So from 3G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G. So I'm really looking forward to see what's your take on that. And as you know, TELUS is a partner of Zoo. We've got our lab here with the 5G spectrum, which I will always thank TELUS to believe in creatives and think and partner with them so that they can create amazing products. So as you know, it's one of the leading telecommunication company in Canada with the fastest network of 5G. So without further ado, I talk way too much. I'll leave it to you, Mark, because we want to know more about how TELUS is envisioning 5G, deploying 5G, and what's their vision on gaming specifically.
Great. So I'm super happy to be here with you this morning to talk about 5G and especially about my passion, gaming. Networks and technologies are transforming our industries and the possibilities are exponential. Like many of you, I've been a gamer since I was a kid, and I have no intentions of stopping. I've witnessed the extraordinary evolution of graphical realism, and like you, I was here when online gaming began. If I would have been asked 10 years ago to imagine video games in 2021, I would have predicted stunning graphics, fantastic games on both PC and console. And today it's safe to say that we have all this. However, I would not have predicted the possibility of getting out of the house and playing the latest games without a physical console. And yet, that's where we're headed. Gaming will no longer be restricted to the home, and the best part is that we all have the technology tools to make it happen. More than ever, the strength of our two industries, telecom and gaming, will allow players to enjoy an increasingly immersive experience. We, the telecom service providers, give you the tools to make it happen, while you, the creative studio, leverage these tools to fuel your imagination. 5G is an important catalyst for new digital creativity. 5G is the fifth generation of cellular network technology or mobile internet. Its increased speeds, reliability, and capacity will make our lives easier, safer, and healthier, changing the way we live and work by fostering amazing innovation and new technology while bridging digital divides. 5G's cutting-edge speed, reliability, and low peak latency will allow us to push the limits that we know today with augmented reality, virtual reality, and artificial intelligence. These advances will transform the traditional entertainment experience, accelerate innovation, and create a truly immersive environment, thereby putting the human being at the center of tomorrow's experience. That said, all these technologies are revolutionary and have one thing in common. They need fixed or mobile internet to work. 5G was designed first and foremost to create new possibilities. Our homes, devices, and infrastructure will soon be able to talk to each other. 5G will enable most industries to boost their efficiency, and it will simplify our lives. It's predicted that by 2026, 5G will help create more than 250,000 jobs and contribute about $40 billion a year to the Canadian economy. We're moving to another level in the digital economy, and it's turning all industries upside down, most of all, entertainment. By 2025, 5G will grow the global mobile media market to $420 billion, with total net new revenues accounting for $200 billion. 5G revenues will overtake 3G and 4G by 2025, and 4G alone cannot deliver that level of transformation. And not moving to 5G fast enough may become a risk to businesses. By 2028, Intel predicts that AR gaming will make up more than 90% of 5G AR revenues. That's about $36 billion globally, and it's a major shift from the existing business-based AR applications. It's a paradigm shift. It's also prompting us to rethink the shape entertainment will take in the future. It's therefore imperative to ensure that we have the infrastructure, IT solutions, and expertise to fully seize the opportunity that the future holds. 5G is at our doorstep, but in concrete terms, what do we expect from 5G performance? Over time, 5G will bring amazing speeds, responsiveness, reliability, and capacity with its power to move huge amounts of data and connect more devices than previous wireless generations. With 100 times the current download speeds, it'll take 3.5 seconds to download your favorite Marvel movie instead of 6 minutes. And compared to today's infrastructure, 5G will deliver near instantaneous responsiveness and the ability to connect a massive number of devices simultaneously. 5G will make it easy to produce very high-quality CGI animations in the cloud, and streaming 4K and 8K media will be a breeze thanks to the unlimited bandwidth offered by 5G access. You'll also see unparalleled mobile download speeds for non-real-time content and support for a large number of power users on the same site. The TV experience will never be the same again. Viewers will be able to immerse themselves in the program on a real-time basis, see the scene from all angles, focus on a particular actor, or even replay a funny joke. With respect to the Internet of Things, we expect to see 10 times the volume of mobile data, over 1 million connected objects per square kilometer, and 75 billion connected devices in North America by 2025. Battery life is also expected to increase by as much as 10 times, and last but not least, latency. A 10 times reduction in latency and jitter is expected. Going from 20 milliseconds to 2 milliseconds is game-changing. With that level of latency, real-time protocols may not detect any difference between fiber and wireless access. 5G's low latency will also allow VR and AR to be experienced smoothly and in real time. So the opportunities are there, but in concrete terms, what are the impacts on the entertainment industry? They're huge. Much like self-driving cars, 5G will be the fuel that drives gaming into the future. And at TELUS, we want to secure the 3500 megahertz auction as soon as possible. This will ensure our organization can remain competitive. We're waiting for the federal government right now's decision, but the auction should take place later this summer. The spectrum can give us much more speed and significantly deeper signal penetration. The long-awaited millimeter wave spectrum will follow in the coming years and will allow us to achieve the ultra-low latency promised by 5G. And while the millimeter wave and 600 megahertz bands will be important in supporting 5G technologies, the 3500 megahertz spectrum will become the critical global band for 5G innovation. It offers the best combination of speed and coverage. Spectrum is a key component of any wireless network, including 5G, and all operators, including TELUS, must secure the radio frequencies required to transmit and receive wireless signals between consumer handsets and the network. This is primarily done through federal spectrum auctions, and 5G deployment is therefore not a sprint, but a marathon. So with 5G, the quality of the experience will be enhanced across the board. We can expect lower latency and faster downloads, access to massive multiplayer mobile games, and limitless graphics processing. We'll see longer battery life, better AR and VR experiences, and get to experience all of this with an unlimited number of online players. More specifically today, I want to talk to you about 3 elements of the 5G infrastructure that will have a significant impact on gaming of the future: network slicing, edge computing, and gaming as a service, or cloud gaming. First, the 5G network has a unique feature compared to the LTE network: network slicing. Imagine being able to distinguish between types of network traffic and being able to give priority access to traffic that will be identified. Like how we give priority to smart city networks, it'll be no different for real-time gaming applications. For example, a gaming company could slice its network to give different priorities for its VR lab, mobile apps, or infrastructure. In this way, we can optimize the machine-to-machine communications where the demand is greatest. Second, edge computing, combined with artificial intelligence powered by a 5G network, will enable a non-stop entertainment experience from the home screen to the mobile. Edge computing now allows us to centralize end-user computing capabilities in a shared architecture to enable efficient use anywhere. It is essential for providers to segment tasks according to their needs. I'll give you an example of a 3-layer infrastructure. The first layer, which is the primary data center, will allow high-level resource utilization. They're used to store all the content and perform non-real-time tasks. With cloud gaming, these servers would be used to store everything from user information, API authentication and integration, to configuration orchestration and overall service security. The second layer, an edge point of presence, or edge POP, would provide service delivery for regional purposes. It has the requested content and is ready to provide caching. These servers can also be used to create multiplayer games. This has the advantage of bringing local players together as much as possible to limit game latency and provide a better experience. And finally, the third layer, which are edge nodes. These are used to meet the specific real-time needs of processors and graphics cards and to send the video stream to the player. It's common for the edge nodes and the edge POPs to be combined into a single entity. This infrastructure is necessary for the implementation of cloud gaming because it limits player latency. The fact that latency can be reduced by 25 milliseconds for gamers who constantly send button inputs will encourage them to switch to cloud gaming. Of course, there are also software algorithms in place to react to the latency caused by distance. In the end, it will be up to the internet service providers to offer the best and most stable connection on the market. How do we do that? Major providers can provide a direct path to infrastructure from their transport network. Direct peering allows TELUS to limit the path required to access Microsoft and Google infrastructure. And last, how will 5G allow for the adoption of cloud gaming? Earlier, we discussed the current trends in gaming, and for us, these new trends are going to require abundant bandwidth, minimal latency, and zero network jitter. So we're going to need the best possible connectivity, both wired and wireless. 5G is the only viable answer to move the new gaming era out of residential homes. With cloud gaming, it promises a full cross-platform experience. As a player, I think that the strength of the home to mobile transition will be the main factor in users adopting cloud platforms like Stadia and xCloud. For me, I'm going to want to get on the train and play Warzone without losing any quality. There will have to be no difference in the experience. 5G allows for a seamless transition from home to mobile. And let's not forget that multiple frequency spectrums and abundant radio frequencies will minimize jitter, and this is extremely important. Although an algorithm can predict latency, it's difficult to apply it with unstable jitter. So, like everywhere in the industry, most of you are undergoing a transformation, and this new 5G ecosystem is prompting us to think about the key elements of your strategy. Questions like, what's my strategy to change the player experience? How will I use real-time data? Do I have the necessary infrastructure to drive digital creativity? And do I have the expertise needed to create the game of the future? These questions are essential to ensuring your studio's future, and the strategies you put in place today to enhance the player experience will pay off in the years to come. 5G is at our doorstep, and to get the most out of it, we need to plan for its integration now. With great technology come great opportunity. I'm very excited for the future, and I hope you are too. And one last thing, TELUS is proud to partner with Zoo to drive the future of entertainment through expertise and the power of our next generation 5G network. In this 10-year collaboration, as Zoo's exclusive telecom and 5G lab partner, TELUS is making a 5G-ready ecosystem available to young entrepreneurs, creators, and students. The TELUS 5G lab will allow them to create, test, and optimize new products and futuristic technologies in a real environment, thereby speeding up their market launch. Far beyond infrastructure, network, and technological solutions, TELUS is putting its experts' knowledge at the disposal of local entrepreneurs and artists to give them the incentive and motivation to unlock the potential of next-generation network. If you haven't already done so, don't hesitate to use the services offered by Zoo and TELUS. Thanks a lot.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mark. So interesting. So many different words like network slicing, latency, cloud computing. So that will be really interesting. If you've got any questions, Facebook, YouTube, please do ask, and don't feel stupid at all. It's a new technology, so we'll be there, right after Stephanie, just for quick question period. So I would say go ahead, ask your question, and we'll try to go over all of them, by at the end of the conference. So now, what does that mean? So we've got the telco, we've got the infrastructure, we have the ambition of the network and the signal. Now, what does that mean for a studio? So I'm really happy to hand it over to Stephanie to talk about how she's seeing it and how Behaviour will attack it. Over to you,
Yes.
Stephanie.
All right. Thank you, Guillaume, and thank you, Mark, for this presentation on 5G. I think this is a great start. So let's talk about games and 5G and how gaming is going to be changing. I won't introduce myself, which is the next slide, because I think Guillaume did an absolutely great presentation. Thank you. One of the things that Dead by Daylight is our main IP. Just wanted to have it out there. If you've ever heard of the game, then you know us. So what are the goals? The goal of this presentation is not exhaustive. It's to give you what I think are the biggest trend that are coming, spark ideas in your mind with, like talking about many different things. And one of the things you're going to see that's awesome with 5G and cloud gaming is that a lot of things can be combined together to create new experience that we haven't seen before. So without further ado, let's talk to the next slide. So 5G and cloud gaming. Let's be honest, they're BFF, all right? Cloud gaming has been around. You've heard of Stadia, xCloud, PlayStation Now. It had a slower start than we expected or wanted, but it's there to stay. And I think 5G, as Mark said, will totally accelerate cloud gaming. So what's the difference quickly between cloud gaming and cloud computing? So cloud gaming is the platform that's out there to help you and put your game and distribute it to users. So why is that important is for developers and young or entrepreneur of any age, actually, is that those platforms out there are going to help you put your game there and reach people. So that distribution and logistics, you might not have to do it. So getting your game faster to your users. And there are also some tools that have been built in that you can that you can use to create your game. So that's awesome. So what does it mean if you had? We just need to go back one slide. Okay. So what does it mean? It means that, I used to say with the smartphone revolution when it happened that everybody had a gaming device in their pocket or their purse. Now we're going to have an awesome device. Like we're going to have like the top device with super high speed internet. It means any game can be played anywhere. Also, it's going to totally lower the cost to start playing like top end game, because all you're going to need is a 5G connection, something to display your game, and some inputs, right? Something to record your inputs. So a tactile screen, a controller, keyboard, mouse, that's it. You don't need the hardware anymore, like the computing hardware. So for a lot of people in the world, it's going to totally change what they can access. And even for all of us. And it also means that you don't need to buy the new console. It's there. So consoles, like gamer PCs, they're going to become irrelevant. So that's why I talk about the democratization. It's a word I like. You'll see it at different places in this presentation. But I think like games, like already smartphone brought games, to a wider audience. My grandmother is now a hardcore gamer of Solitaire, but it's true. Now we're going to see a lot more people playing games around the world. And that's why I say it's so awesome. So that's for cloud and 5G and cloud gaming. So when I talk about new market, some market are undeserved in terms of the games we're creating. In North America, we're creating game for, let's be honest, Western market. Asia, with China as a leading group, and Korea as well, and Japan, of course, with Nintendo, have also a big, another pool of games being done there. But there are other places in the world, and they have a different culture, a different vision on this planet, on how things are going, and they might want a game that's closer to their reality. So, when we were kids, all the movies, the cowboys were the good guys, the Indians the bad guys. Well, there's another story to be told, and that's true for a lot of other places in the world. So ideas there, I mean, a lot of new people want to play games and play something that's relevant to them. So great opportunities there as well. The next topic is esports. I've combined a few things here that are not necessarily esports, and we'll talk to it, but esport is also something that's going to be affected. Why? Well, it's going to be a lot more easy for everybody. As I said, to play high-end game, you're only going to need controls, display, and a 5G connection. So a lot more people will be able to access esports. One of the other difference is also esports will be a bit more secure, as everybody will have the same connection. And because you're going to be running the game in the cloud instead of on your computer, then you can less tamper with it if you want, and everybody will be running on the same cloud. So a bit more secure there. One of the awesome things, you're now going to be able to organize huge events, because it's going to be removing a lot of the logistics. You won't need cables anymore. You won't need the switch. Like when you organize an event, you need to plan all of the technical, like the physical aspect of it. Now you can think of the Bell Center and having lots of participants and having people like in the stadium, everybody in the 5G. And it won't be a problem. One thing we didn't mention in the previous presentation, 5G will allow for a high density of people all using 5G in a very small place, all getting the same quality of the streaming and the power of it. So that's great. So you'll be able to organize like big events, everybody at the same place, even AR, VR events. The other thing is you'll be able to organize an event that's distributed around the world, also with everybody using 5G and having the same performance. So what it means for entrepreneur, it means that you can start now organizing esports or big gaming events at a lot less cost and logistic issues. So you need a smaller team, and now that becomes a lot more accessible. And the last element, very, very interesting. It's true for esports, but it's true for pretty much any game. Now, this will allow even more real-time connection between the game, your streamer, and your viewer. We all know Twitch and YouTube, just like showing people playing games has become something big. Gen Z is all about it. What we're going to see now is this relationship and the impact the viewers, will be able to have on the games of the streamer or in esports. Think Hunger Games if you want. Maybe now like the viewers can have a small influence and help a team or who they cheer for. So a lot of opportunities there as well. And, you know, I'm going to touch it probably later as well, but this is totally something we're looking at Behaviour. I mean, we definitely saw with that by Daylight the potential between the streamers and the viewer, and this is something we want to explore for the future in 5G. That's really one of the things we're looking at. Geolocalization, of course, we can't, we have to mention it, all right? First, geolocalization, yeah, we see Pokemon Go. If you need an example, this is the best one. It's the leader in the market at the moment. It's a non-deserved segment. It's, you know, there's total room to grow. But why is it going to be interesting with 5G? Many reasons. One of them, as we see, is we're going to have high-speed internet everywhere with the power of the cloud. So the games that we'll be able to play everywhere will be of higher quality. So let's think Pokemon Go. If you've played it, you know that, you know, there's room for improvement with the graphic quality and everything and the gameplay. So now, and you're limited by the power of your, you know, your device. So now you can tap in the cloud everywhere. Second, if you also have played Pokemon Go, any localization game, you realize that 4G is not that precise. You know, the precision is 40 meters to 500 meters. With 5G, we're going to reach a precision of 1 meter. So when you're looking for that Pokemon egg and you can't really find it because, you know, the precision, that's problem will be not there anymore. So making geolocalization a lot more precise and interesting. And finally, there's a natural link between geolocalization and AR as you want to see the environment and process it. Again, taxing on your devices. So hard to create something awesome right now because you're limited with the hardware. Now, if we go into cloud, that removes this restriction. So really something here. And I want to say this market has been up 32% last year. You see with the amount of money, even with curfew and everything in the pandemic. So clearly people want to play out there in the world. And if you've seen in the newspaper, there's even people that got some tickets because they went out during curfew to play Pokemon Go. So clearly something to think about. XR, I mentioned it like very quickly, but VR, AR, and Mark mentioned it in his presentation. These are totally a game changer for those two, for this world, the XR world. Right now, even if you have a top computer, like a top gaming computer, you're still limited. It is extremely taxing on the hardware. You know, you need to render both camera for both eyes at a super high frame rate, not to make people sick. So what we're going to see now, again, coming back to what we need, we're going to need something to display in your games. So, you know, your visor, a 5G connection, and something to input. But you won't need to have the computing of the game either on your PC or on your helmet, which makes it pretty heavy. So it's already there. It's already coming. But what's going to happen with 5G, it's going to make this better. What's going to be better? And edge computing, as Mark was saying, is totally a key here. It's not just cloud gaming. Edge computing will make a huge difference because the latency, especially in VR, but even in AR, is extremely important. You know, to feel good, to feel in the environment. So one of the no, I'm not done with AR yet, Pete. So one of the things that's been limiting, especially in VR, is the responsiveness of your environment or the AI that you can put in your game. As for your PC, all the juice, the powering juice, all goes into the rendering of the scene. Then it's very limited how much power is left to create, you know, response to your movement. So any AI or any like real time, everything is kind of already baked in. That's another big revolution that's going to be coming for VR is, well, the number of people we talked about earlier, but also how responsive and immersive the interaction will be able, that we will be able to create with this technology. And the pandemic has totally driven the sales this year, and it totally accelerated how people, but especially VR helmet. So, you know, this market will probably see a growth even faster than expected for the next few years. So that's great. Oh, that's one of my favorite. Okay. User-generated content. So for those of you not familiar with it, it means that I create some content, I put it in the game, and other players can use it. Now, I honestly think that there is something here. This is completely different, and you won't see a lot of articles. Actually, I haven't seen none. This is my idea on the web, because I think there's something. If somebody can get the right idea, I'll explain why. So UGC, this is a short for user-generated content. It's already out there on a lot of platforms. As you see here at the top, you'll recognize TikTok, not games, but again, a lot of UGC. Can't say it's known and it's very popular. At the bottom, you're seeing Minecraft. Again, lots of UGC. So let's imagine now that your users are now able to create content, edit, share it in real time because of 5G and cloud. So you're going to be able to match all that content, all the virality and how quickly things can spread, and what we see in the social network, and create a game around it. And why is this important or very interesting for entrepreneur? Is one of the things that's super expensive in game is content. Now, if you come up with the right idea and the right platform and system and rules around to create your game, then your users are going to be generating your content. So you don't need a large team. You just need the right idea and the right people with the right motivation to do this. So I can't tell exactly where this is coming, but where this is going, but I am certain that there's something out there. And this could be big if you get the right idea. Now, the next thing is the business model. We have to talk quickly about it. Business model is going to change with this. And it's awesome. I've put you all a lot of ideas, and now you need to come up with something. But in the end, you still need to make a bit of money with it. So you need to be very conscious that the business model will be modified. A lot of experts are saying that it's going to go to something like a subscription model or Game Pass. It's already there with Stadia and Game Pass with Microsoft and Xbox, but we don't know. Is this going to be the new norm? Are premium and free-to-play going to stay out there? It's really hard to tell. So you definitely need, when you're going to be planning this, to be very mindful of the business model and kind of the fact that we don't really know. So I don't have an answer. I'm just telling you to be, very careful and think about this. And finally, just as a conclusion, I hope I've shown you here that there's a lot of potential, but also you can totally mix and match a lot of the things I just mentioned. We had geolocalization, AR going together, and cloud gaming will be pretty much everywhere because it kind of enables all of this with the 5G. And even UGC with geolocalization works well. There's tons of ideas. So I hope this was my goal, to show you what 5G cloud gaming is going to be opening for us, and how you can all kind of mix and match all the elements to come with something new. So thank you very much, and let's get some questions.
Wow. So interesting. There's one thing, I mentioned that we're using, but at the same time, we're using now. And that's what's interesting about 5G. It's the technology of the future. We know it's going to impact a lot of different industry, and mostly gaming. But at the same time, we have to look at it now and experiment, test, and look at different ways of implementing, so that we can become pioneer in this technology. So I'm really, we'll go a little bit further into that, during the question period. And I would like to welcome Tony, who's the Director of Mobility and Network and Technology Strategy at TELUS. Now friends with me, we've shared so many different panels together. He's got 20 years of broad experience in technology strategy, and he's the man in charge of the strategic vision and deployment of the 5G and the mobility network at TELUS. So I'm really happy to have him. He's going to be able to bring some more technical, and technology questions with some answers. So, and please do ask your questions. We'll look at them. We'll filter. We'll bring them to our panelists. But I would love to start with one, probably with behavior, with you, Stephanie, because you just had such a great presentation, and really impressed and about the vision you've got, and even the user generated angle that I've never seen. So thank you for bringing something new to the table. But what for a studio like Behaviour with 700 employees and bringing games to to enthusiastic gamers, what's your corporate approach on 5G? Is it experimentation? Is it R&D? Is it diversification? How are you going to approach it?
It's a good question. Well, it's not the first time we're facing new technology. So one of the things we're always looking at is passion internally. So do we have somebody, and in this case, as I mentioned, there's a lot of ideas. So do we have someone with the right passion that can come and take this idea and move it forward? And it doesn't have to, it can be somebody from pretty much any level inside the company. We just look for passion. As I mentioned a bit earlier, we clearly have seen with Dead by Daylight the enthusiasm from the public for the link between our streamers and the viewers. So this is something that we know is working, but we also have a lot of people passionate with AR. And yes, R&D in this case was definitely the way to go. So I would say we look for passion. Yes, we do R&D internally. That's the key. And then once we have a good idea and we're convinced, we're going to do user testing and such, and then invest. So this is how we work, but we can't just try to do everything I mentioned. That would be too much. So we're really looking at what works for us and what we really want to do.
I'll ask the same question, but differently, to Mark and Tony on, for a telco company, why gaming? Why are you interested into connecting with the gaming industry with the 5G network?
Maybe Mark, I'll let you start and I'll complement.
Yeah, sure. So, for me, the passion as a gamer is getting to work with other gamers and deliver a technology that really is transformational. So, the experience for most people that are going from, and mentioned it, faster download speeds, it doesn't excite me, right? It's great that you've got your movie half as fast as you did before, but the real passion is when you can see people playing those games outside of the home, having those new experiences, having that level of fidelity they're used to with their, home systems, and taking it outside. So as a gamer, I'm looking for that experience, so I'm excited to help deliver that experience to fellow gamers in the community.
What is interesting is the reason why gaming is such of high interest for us is when you look at the time of the features that will be impacting the network in 5G as it rolls out, you'll realize very quickly that the first one is really beneficial to gaming. We're talking about increased speed, reduced latency, bandwidth that would allow users in the gaming world to really discover AI and VR and AR much more, and I see an actual pace of deployment of those features. And 5G will force as well telco to transform themselves. We will need to be more involved into different vectors of business to be really driving growth. And we're still at the early stage here. We have the benefit of the doubt and really drive interest in the gaming world. And the partnership with Zoo is a perfect example where 5G by itself may not be of interest, but 5G combined with gaming and the creativity in this field will simply drive a lot of opportunities and new ideas.
That's interesting because we're talking about 5G, and it's been a year that I think Zoo was cheerleading for 5G, and you know what? People didn't really understand what was the technology, what was the promises, and we're now starting to see that people are interested. There's markets that are now offering it. like South Korea. Barcelona is one of the leading city, and it's interesting what they've done, but it's really case studies. It's really experiment
Yeah.
at this point because the commercial spectrum is not deployed fully.
But
So
yeah,
go ahead, Jimmy.
maybe I'll complement a bit of what you indicated. Today, on a 5G network that is available in Montreal and most of the urban cities in Canada, you can actually download at speed of 1.7 gigabit per second, right? That is way above whatever bandwidth you'll be able to get access at home. And we're still saying that 1.7 we're still in the early phase of 5G. We talked earlier about spectrums are not really available yet in the Canadian market. And we're still already seeing that kind of speed. So you can close your eyes and imagine a few years from now what kind of experience a mobility user can have and how that can actually impact the gaming world.
Interesting, and it's funny when we're talking about speed and latency that sometimes our own video are lagging, so it's we're mostly and it's a timely would say a subject because we all need speed, latency, even in this world right now,
Yeah.
and that would be maybe my next question is managing a studio, huge studio of developer and gamer and creative
Mhm.
people. How it's challenging right now with COVID because you're all remote. How will we experience 5G in a day-to-day life at work for in a workplace like Behaviour?
So a good question. First, I think that we already were doing some distributed work, but we totally know that work from home is working, and we intend to totally embrace it at Behaviour. So there are learnings that we have right now that we will continue to use in the future. So I'm not going to touch into, as you just mentioned, having just conference that works really, where we see each other. So of course that would be great. But where we see for games specifically, where currently we have a problem, is reviewing anything that is real time. Reviewing animation in real time, VFX in real time, and even the game, reviewing the build, having everybody around it and talking. You lose frame. So it's not perfect. Clearly, this is going to make a difference for people in different locations to be able to do that. Now, we didn't touch about it, but Wi-Fi 6 or 6 gigabytes, sorry, oh, gigahertz, I think, which is coming soon. It's going to tap into the 5G. So this is also something inside our office that we might see it one day and clearly see impact. And maybe we have better way to build games faster, use the cloud better. But I think it's all those times wasting that we want to look at, so that people are fully can build their game faster, can review it better. That will make a difference.
Interesting, and you mentioned we talk a lot about streaming because in the video industry Netflix did such a bulldozer job at democratizing streaming. Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, did it with music, and a lot of people. It's been probably 2-3 years. People are talking about gaming streaming platform, and with the promises of that, people won't buy the game anymore. People will stream it. It's going to be subscription based, but we saw lower adoption than expected. I'm not saying there's no demand, but lower than expected. Do you think it needs 5G, or do you think 5G will accelerate the adoption?
Totally is the answer. As 5G will be the answer to the adoption. Of course, content needs to be there as well. Content will make a huge difference. I mean, humans are creature of habits, and getting us to switch habits and start going with a streaming service for games needs a good reason. But now, as Mark was saying, you'll be able to play your game everywhere. So this is big. I mean, it means that one of our challenge right now is, you need to plan a game for people who are on the metro or on the train, and then they're playing a different game at home on their consoles. Now you can have your game being played everywhere. So even for us, that makes a huge difference. So I definitely think 5G will accelerate completely this transition to cloud gaming.
Interesting. I think we've got one question from the public. I wanna bring to you guys. I don't know who's going to answer that, but my team is saying that there's many great questions. So one is from our friend Harold. Here is there any VC, corporate VC, interested into and investing in 5G within the startup community? Do you know any investors or angels, any initiative or opportunity that TELUS, yes for sure, but any other VC has invested in?
I don't know if Tony, you've got any insight on that.
So obviously, TELUS, we do have a TELUS venture arm that align into the TELUS strategy, and we invest in companies into the early stage as well. So we do have that arm, and I'm sure that in the market, 5G is obviously something that we see a significant growth in the coming years, and not without being able to name one in particular. I'm sure that the market has a few significant players that play that angel investment arms into driving startup to grow in the market.
Yeah, and I know for some of the, if you have any question in terms of funding, I would say there's so many great partners right now. Anchor is a consortium of different manufacturers. They're looking for project and investing in some project and helping experimental project to exist. And there's the different government at each level of the governments, from the city, the province, and Canada, they're always looking for innovative projects. So I would say that's totally something they will be interested to look at and to invest in your project. And obviously here at Zoo, we're super interested about helping you guys. So another question from Alexandre Teodorescu from Cette Doigt de la Main. Thank you so much for being here. Where do you get your intuition on the UGC opportunity? Any use case, any example where 5G could improve the user experience? Oh, I think there's two questions. UGC for you, Stephanie. Mm-hmm. How did you come up with that, and why are you sharing with people and not jumping and creating a new venture just for your own?
Well, I'm a very generous person, but honestly, it started with the TV show on Netflix where you can interact. And I was thinking then maybe streaming and interaction could be something, and having it, and that's when, instead of seeing it, because it's all like built in and it's like a livre dont vous êtes le héros, like when we were kids. So basically, I realized that if it was more real time, this could be interesting. But it's not exactly feasible for a TV show. Now, I also watch TikTok like everybody else, and it's been a while since we've been trying to find a way around TikTok and thinking like, how can we put games into something like this? Now, if you put everything together, I don't really I've been reading so much about 5G, especially for this presentation. I don't exactly know when this all happened, but TikTok has a lot to do with it. Like definitely watching the videos and wondering what we can do. And following people, and a lot of people are super quick at putting things out there, and you can see the virality and you see the video going around, and I'm like, wow, there's something there. There's something. It's already exciting. So if we can put some rules around it, gamification is not that complicated. Just rewarding people to making, when they do something good. That's really how it came. That answers.
Interesting. Really interesting. So we're now into the TikTokization of the society. That's where it is right now. So it's interesting. Yeah. And we were talking about case studies. That's really interesting because the best way sometimes to explain a technology is to show it. And I would love to hear about if you've seen any case studies of a 5G experiment that really impressed you. And maybe I will start just by giving mine. The 5G Barcelona did a really good job working with the Cruella Festival, and they did a 5G experience with XR. And what they wanted to push, it's the density that you mentioned, Stephanie, and bringing a lot of people. I think more than 100 in a really really small space, and live an immersive but interactive gameplay type of XR experience. And that was really, really interesting to see the results in terms of speeds, in terms of user experience. People really, really liked it. It removed as well the nausea that sometimes we're feeling with XR, and the interaction between individuals were really, really faster, and foster really great way of the gameplay. So I was really impressed about that. Maybe I'll share later on the link. But for you, maybe Mark, have you seen anything that's interesting?
Specifically on the 5G space, well, if I think maybe I step back to the other one and I think a bit about the UGC a bit, I think about Mario Maker on Switch is a great example of UGC. That's a game where users create the levels and then host them, and other players get to play the levels, replay the levels, rank the levels. That's where you see a lot of that UGC coming into play with cross. If you can extend that type of idea through cross-platform and then move that from the home into the mobile space, I think Stephanie's really hit on something there, that there's a big opportunity with UGC.
Stephanie, any case studies that you've seen in the world or here?
No, it's not there yet. I mean, it's not. Of
it's course, a blue
ocean. So people are thinking, okay, but how do you make sure people don't put content that will be, like who's going to curate your content and such? There are problems that needs to be solved for sure. But I definitely think that there's something there. But what the case study, not really like about a real time and what can be done, were mostly about how 5G will change robotics and how they're using it for medical purposes, where real time is absolutely key. And that was very, very interesting, because I feel that if it's good for them, or as you said, like cars that can drive themselves, if it's fast enough for this, then I think it's a good case that it's fast enough for games. So I like those case studies because they were really hard testing it.
Yep. And I've got another questions, and I want Tony to talk about security maybe later on. But I would just want to say we've got a lot of questions. We won't be able to answer all of them, but stay here, stay in the conversation. Right after, in 5 minutes, we'll open the buzz zone, which is a place where you guys can network, connect, brainstorm, and exchange on the conference, and maybe go further on this subject. So that's a new thing that we're bringing together, and it's just by connecting us, not with 5G but with humans on a platform, but to talk about that project and that that technology. But security is one of the question with 5G and with gaming. I think there's two sides on that question. The social impact of addictive gaming and a lot of gamers and stuff like that, and there's the security in terms of data. So I would say and the network. So Tony, can you maybe just quickly reassure people?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think security in anything we do right now is essential. It's a different world. The beautiful part of it is 5G has been developed in the past few years with security as one of the most important criteria. And now we're talking about security by design, right? So it's not an afterthought. It's part of what is being planned. And we make sure that security, data security, transmission security is protected as much as we are able to. And this is where the combination of application and platform and everything else that will come into making sure that we protect our users as much as we're able to. And this is come back to really 5G has been designed in the last few years. We're not talking about 4G, which was 15 years ago. Security is something that we all understand that's critical, and to make a platform that's safe for everybody to use.
Stephanie, for you, do you think 5G will have any impact on kids, or is there any watch out, with the gamer?
Well, I mean, we talked about the fact that you'll be able to play more everywhere, but I don't think it's any different from what we're seeing now in the world. I don't see, the challenge are going to be pretty much the same. So I don't foresee anything. And just about security, what's good is the bandwidth now will allow for more encryption, so you'll real time, and that's also very interesting. So I think more secure transaction will be able to happen. But for kids, it's a big topic, and I think we can have another hour only on it. So
Yeah.
I won't get to
Maybe
it.
to
But I
just
don't
to add on,
think
Stephanie indicating 5G is built to support connectivity, right? So we're talking about autonomous vehicles, making sure that cars can talk together. So that level of security in driving those kind of solution, we're talking about in 5-10 years about remote surgery. So all those aspects are, security level are even exponentially more important than when a gaming environment is. So it is part of where we're going, and to complement the story about kids, I have 3 kids. I don't have 4, but it is certainly a concern, addiction on gaming, and now having that platform available everywhere. That's a social conversation that is much above technology.
Yeah, absolutely. There's 2 minutes left, and there's a great question here, more about the business model. The app marketplace, we've seen and we've read different, challenges between, big player in the industry, Apple and Unreal and Epic, fighting between each other on, on this marketplace industry. Do you think, 5G might change, bring other players, the telco, don't tell me if it's your strategy to come to the marketplace, but do you think it's going to change this?
Yes, because of the cloud gaming, it's definitely going to have a change. You already have Apple that did the Apple Arcade, so they're already thinking about that new business model. As I said, it's hard to tell because free to play, when it started, nobody believed that it was viable, that people would want it. It was evil, and now clearly it. So it's really hard to predict. That's why I don't want to get there, but. Predicting that something will change. I'm fully confident when I say this. How? Really hard to tell. So they will need to adapt, for sure.
Great.
And as a quick top up, I'd say that other things that change with the app system is that as games become more cross-platform, you're going to democratize the games across the app stores and remove the power from the players, so that Apple will have less power to charge 30-40% to those studios on the content they create. As I'll just take it to the Android platform and get a lower rate, or take it to a new third-party platform and get it for free. So I hope that helps make things a little easier for app distribution and equality across the board.
Thank you to the 3 of you, Tony, Mark, Stephanie. It was a passionate discussion. I can take more, absolutely, because I think we it's not the last time we're going to talk about 5G, and more and more we're going into it, and the deployment of the technology. We're going to see more concrete case studies, and I would invite everyone watching, everyone interested about the 5G technology, to come at our lab, with TELUS, just to work, experiment, see what's possible. That's exactly the role of Zoo, and that's all possible with all of our partners, but mostly with TELUS. So thank you so much. Thank you to the 3 of you guys. And if you want to stay with us, talk, debate, exchange question, and network, and see how we can do crazy project with 5G at Zoo, or with each between each other. I would say stay in the buzz zone, and I wish you a really great day, and hopefully we did inspire you a bit. Thank you. The buzz zone is on Facebook and YouTube. That's what they're telling me. Thank you, Spatial Station. Have a nice day.